Deep within the heart of Nigeria's lush lands, nestled between ancient trees and winding streams, lay the village of Akure-Oda. The villagers lived simple lives, farming the rich soil and honoring the gods of the land. But Akure-Oda held a secret, a mystery that had been whispered about in hushed tones. In the center of the village stood an ancient baobab tree, its branches twisted and tangled in a way that seemed almost deliberate. The villagers avoided the tree, crossing the street to evade its shadow. They spoke of it in whispers, of strange occurrences and unexplained noises. One full moon night, a young woman named Aqua. She had heard the whispers, but dismissed them as mere village tales. As she approached the baobab tree, she felt an inexplicable chill. Suddenly, the wind picked up, and the branches creaked ominously. Aqua's curiosity got the better part of her, and she reached out to touch the tree's trunk. As her skin made contact, visions flooded her mind. Ancient rituals, forgotten gods, and a prophecy that spoke of a great change coming to Akure-Oda. The next morning, Aqua sought out the village elder, Oba. She demanded answers about the tree and the visions. Oba's expression turned grave, and he revealed that Akure-Oda's secrets were indeed real. The baobab tree was a gateway to the spirit realm, and Aqua's touch had awoken something ancient and powerful. As the days passed, strange occurrences multiplied. Tools went missing. Strange noises echoed through the night, and some villagers reported seeing shadowy figures lurking at the forest edge. Aqua became determined to unravel the mystery, but Oba warned her, some secrets are better left unspoken. One fateful night, under the light of another full moon, Aqua decided to sneak back to the baobab tree. She felt an inexplicable pull, as if the tree was calling to her. As she approached, the wind died down, and an eerie silence fell over the village. And then everything went black. When Aqua regained her consciousness, she was lying beneath the baobab tree, her head throbbing, but something was different. She felt changed. A presence seemed to surround her, watching and waiting. The villagers found Aqua at dawn, her eyes gleaming with an otherworldly intensity. Oba's face turned ashen. As he gazed at her, "The spirits have chosen you," he whispered. "You are now a part of something much larger than Akure-Oda." As the sun rose over the village, Aqua's eyes locked onto the forest, and she knew that her journey was only just beginning. As the days passed, Aqua's behavior became increasingly erratic. She would wander into the forest at dawn, returning with leaves and twigs in her hair, her eyes gleaming with an unnatural intensity. The villagers whispered among themselves, fearful of the change that had come over her. Oba, the village elder, tried to intervene, but Aqua would laugh maniacally, her voice echoing through the village. She began to speak in tongues, her words sounding like the rustling of leaves or the hooting of owls. One night, the villagers awoke to the sound of Aqua's scream. They rushed to her hut, finding her thrashing about. Her eyes rolled back in her head. As they watched in horror, her body began to contort, twisting into impossible positions. The villagers fled in terror, leaving Oba to confront the darkness that had taken hold of Aqua. He lit candles and incense, chanting ancient prayers to calm the spirits. But Aqua's eyes snapped open, and she spoke in a voice that was not her own. "I am the gateway. The old ones come. They belong to me. As Oba watched in despair, Aqua's body began to change. Her skin turned to a deep shade of indigo, and her hair grew longer and wild. She rose from the ground, her eyes blazing with an otherworldly energy. The villagers, realizing their worst fears had come true, fled Akure in terror, but Oba remained, determined to save his village. He followed Aqua into the forest, where the baobab tree loomed like a spectre. Under the tree, Aqua's transformation accelerated. Her body stretched and contorted, her limbs elongating like vines. Oba tried to flee, but his feet seemed rooted to the spot. As the moon reached its zenith, Aqua's face elongated, her eyes burning with an airy green fire. She spoke in a voice that was both ancient and eternal. The old ones have come. They belong to me. The village will be consumed. And with that, the forest erupted into chaos. Trees creaked and groaned, their branches snaking towards the village like grasping fingers. The villagers who had fled heard the screams of those who remained. Trapped in the village, Oba's voice was the last to be heard, his cries echoing through the forest as the darkness consumed him. The next morning, the villagers who had fled returned to find Akure in ruins. The baobab tree stood tall, its branches twisted in malevolent glee, but Aqua was nowhere to be found. Some say she was consumed by the old ones, her soul trapped in the spirit realm. Others claim she still roams the forest, a vessel for the ancient powers that lurk beyond the veil. The villagers never spoke of Akure again, fearful of attracting the attention of the malevolent forces that lurked within. But on certain nights, when the moon is full, they swear they can still hear Aqua's screams echoing through the forest, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lie beyond the edge of our world. In the village of Igbaraoke lived a young maiden named Omolara. She lived a simple life. Igbaraoke was nestled in the hills, far from the mysterious baobab tree that had consumed Akure. However, the whispers of Akure's downfall had reached Igbaraoke, and the villagers spoke of it in hushed tones. Omolara was destined to become the village next priestess, a role that had been passed down through her family for generations. However, she showed little interest in her supposed calling, preferring to spend her days helping her mother with farm work and exploring the surrounding forests. Despite her lack of interest, Omolara couldn't shake off the feeling that something was watching her. She often had vivid nightmares when she found herself trapped inside a massive ancient tree. The tree's branches seemed to wrap around her, holding her tight, and its trunk pulsed with a strange otherworldly energy. In her dreams, Omolara would try to escape, but the tree's grip would only tighten. She'd wake up drenched in sweat, her heart racing, and wonder what the dreams meant. Her parents attributed the nightmare to her resistance to her destiny. But Omolara wasn't convinced. As the days passed, Omolara's nightmare grew more intense. She began to sense a connection between her dreams and the rumors spreading from Akure. People spoke of the village downfall, attributing it to the dark forces that had consumed Aqua, the young woman who had touched the baobab tree. Omolara's curiosity got the better of her, and she started to ask questions about Akure. and Aqua's fate. Her parents warned her to focus on her own path, but Omolara felt an inexplicable pull towards the story. One night, as she lay in bed, Omolara felt an unusual energy coursing through her veins. She closed her eyes, and the familiar image of the ancient tree appeared before her. But this time, something was different. The tree's branches seemed to be reaching out to her, whispering secrets in a language she couldn't understand. Suddenly, the tree's trunk split open. Omolara felt herself being pulled towards it, and she screamed, waking up with a start. Breathless and shaking, Omolara realized that her nightmares were more than just dreams. They were warnings, or perhaps a call to something greater. She began to wonder if her destiny was intertwined with the mysterious events in Akureuoda, and if the ancient tree in her dreams held the key to understanding her own paths. With a newfound sense of curiosity and trepidation, Omolara decided to visit the village elder, Ojiofo, to learn more about her supposed calling and the strange occurrences that plagued her dreams. Little did she know her journey was about to take a dramatic turn, one that would change the course of her life forever. Omolara made her way to Ojiofo's hut, her heart racing with anticipation. The village elder's wise eyes seemed to see right through her as he greeted her warmly. Omolara, child of Ibaraoke, I have been expecting you, Ojiofo said, his voice low and soothing. Your nightmares are not just dreams, but whispers from the past. Go home, Omolara, and ask your parents about the night an oath was taken. Omolara's curiosity was piqued. What could Ojiofo mean? She hurried back to her parents, her mind racing with questions. When she arrived, she found her parents sitting by the fire, their faces somber. Ojiofo sent me to ask you something, Omolara said, her voice trembling. He spoke of a night an oath was taken. Her parents exchanged a knowing glance. Sit down, Omolara, her mother said, her voice barely above a whisper. We must tell you the truth about your births. Omolara's heart skipped a beat as her parents began to speak. Your father and I are from different villages, her mother said. Your father is from Ibaraoke, and I am from Akureuoda. We met on a journey, fell deeply in love, and got married. After 9 months, I gave birth to a set of twin girls. You and your sister. Omolara's eyes widened in shock. Twin girls? She repeated. Her father nodded. Yes, Omolara. But our villages didn't accept twins. They were seen as a curse. So on the night of your birth, we were forced to separate you and your sister. You were brought to Ibaraoke, and your sister was taken to another village. Omolara's mind reeled as she processed the revelation. She had a twin sister, someone out there who shared the same blood with her. Her birthday and her destiny. What happened to my sister? Omolara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her parents' faces clouded over. We don't know, Omolara. We've searched for her over the years, but she's gone. We feared for her safety and yours, so we kept the truth hidden. Omolara felt a mix of emotions, shock, wonder, and a deep longing to find her sister. She knew her life would never be the same. the nightmares, the ancient tree. It all made sense now. She was connected to something bigger, something mysterious. As she looked at her parents, Omolara knew she had to find her sister. The journey ahead would be fraught with danger. But she was determined to uncover the truth about her past and her twin sister's fate. One night, Omolara could not bear the voices in her head anymore and the unease she felt. She left home saying goodbye to her parents as she went in search of her twin sister in neighboring villages. She had a feeling her sister lived in Akure, but whether she was still alive scared her. Omolara's determination drove her forward. Despite the fear and uncertainty, she walked for days, braving the elements and asking about Akureoda's survivors. Many denied knowing anyone from the village, their faces expressionless. Undeterred, Omolara decided to venture into Akureoda itself. As she approached the village, an eerie silence enveloped her. The once thriving community now lay in ruins, overgrown with weeds and vines. She wandered through the deserted streets, calling out for anyone. The only response was the wind rustling through the streets. Omolara's heart sank, but she refused to give up. Suddenly, she spotted something peculiar, a faint light flickering from the direction of the ancient baobab tree. Omolara's instincts warned her to be cautious, but her curiosity propelled her forward. As she approached the tree, the light grew brighter, illuminating the darkening landscape. Omolara felt an inexplicable pull, as if the tree was drawing her closer. The light became too bright for her. Immediately, Omolara fell to the floor, and just like a trance, Omolara saw herself running alongside a girl who looked uncannily like her. The trees blurred together, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. "You are mine. Through you I must live. I am the vessel. I am the gateway. The old ones come. You belong to me." The girls ran until they reached a clearing where the ancient baobab tree loomed. Omolara felt a surge of energy course through her veins. She began to speak in tongues, languages she has never spoken. The words poured out of her like a river, and the forest responded. Lightning crackled, and fire danced in her eyes. The baobab tree trembled, its branches creaking in protest. Omolara's twin, the girl beside her, seemed to mirror her movements. Together they channeled a power that was both fierce and ancient. The battle raged on, with Omolara and her twin fighting against the tree's dark energy. The air was electric, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Suddenly, a bright light erupted from the baobab tree. The forest voice screamed in fear. "No!" Omolara felt a surge of triumph, knowing that the dark powers had been vanquished. She turned to her twin, and they shared a warm smile. When Omolara's eyes opened, she found herself back at the spot where she had seen the dim light. She sat up, looking around in confusion, but instead of the desolate landscape, she saw a peaceful village, bustling with life. People went about their daily routines, smiling and laughing. Omolara's twin sister stood beside her, beaming with joy. "You are awake," she said, her voice filled with warmth. Omolara's eyes widened as she looked at her twin. They were identical, yet different. "You are me," Omolara whispered. "And I'm you." Her twin nodded, and they shared a tender smile. "I'm Akuna," she said. "And we've been united." As they hugged, Omolara felt a sense of completeness wash over her. She knew that their journey had taken a better turn. And with Akuna by her side, she felt ready to face whatever lay ahead. Together, the twins walked towards their parents, who waited with open arms and smiling faces. The village seemed to radiate warmth and love, a stark contrast to the darkness they had faced. "Welcome home, Omolara," Akuna whispered, her voice filled with love. "We are finally together."